Welcome, everyone. One of the best ways to prepare for the IELTS speaking test is to see it in action. That's exactly what we're doing today with this complete mock test from Spinta. As you listen, think about what the candidate does well and where they could improve. Afterwards, we'll compare notes with a full performance breakdown. Let's begin.
Good morning. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Good morning. My name is Liam Carter. You can call me Liam. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Where are you from, Liam?
I am from a small town near Manchester. I have been lived there for 5 years, actually. Before that, I was in another town about 1 hour away. It is not very big, but I like the community and the parks there.
Right. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about your home and family. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in a small house with my partner and our cat. The house is 3-bedroom, but one room we use as an office because we both sometimes work from home. It is comfortable, not luxurious, but it is cozy, and I like it.
Why do you like living there?
Mainly because it is quiet and close to my parents, so I can visit them easily. Also, the neighborhood has good shops and a park for walking. I enjoy walking in the evening. It helps me to relax after work, and the neighbors are friendly.
How has your living situation changed over time?
When I was a child, we lived in an apartment in the city center. Later, my family moved to suburbs and life became more calm. I think living conditions changed because my parents had more stable job and wanted more space. For me, now I prefer quieter life than busy city.
Let's talk about your work or studies. Are you working or studying at the moment?
I am working as a marketing assistant in a small company. My job is mostly digital marketing, making content for social media and helping with email campaigns. I enjoy creative part, but sometimes the deadlines are stressful and I have to work late.
Why did you choose that job?
I studied business at university, and during my studies I did an internship in a marketing team, and I realized I like writing and designing posts. It was interesting and felt natural to me, so I decided to continue in that career path.
How do you think your job might change in future?
I think marketing will be more automated and data-driven. Maybe there will be more use of artificial intelligence to create content, but human creativity will still be important. I hope to learn more skills and maybe move to a manager role in a few years.
Now about hobbies. What do you like to do in your free time?
I am very interested about music. I listen lots, and sometimes I try to play guitar. I also like reading and jogging. On weekends, I often meet friends, go to small gigs or cafes. Playing guitar is not professional, but it helps me to relax, and it is social sometimes.
How long have you been interested in music?
Since I was a teenager. My older brother, he introduced me to many bands, and we used to go to concerts together. That habit stayed with me, and I probably spend about 2 hours every evening for reading or listening music, depending on how busy I am.
What do you enjoy most about playing guitar?
I enjoy the process of learning songs and the feeling when a chord progression finally sounds right. It is satisfying and sometimes emotional. Also, it is a way to connect with friends. We jam together and have fun.
Let's move to daily routine. Can you describe a typical weekday for you?
On a normal weekday, I wake at 7, make coffee, and then check emails. I travel to office by bus and work from 9 to 5. After work, I go to gym, or sometimes I meet friends for dinner. At home, I cook and relax reading or watch a series, then sleep at around 11.
Do you prefer routine or variety?
I like a mix. Routine gives me structure, but variety keeps life interesting. If everything, same every day, I get bored, so I try to add small surprises like trying new recipe or visiting new place on weekend.
Finally, in part 1, future plans. What are your plans for the next 5 years?
In next 5 years, I hope to be more confident in my career and maybe work as a marketing manager. I also want to travel more, see countries in Asia and South America. Personally, I want to improve my language skills and maybe learn Spanish properly.
Why is learning Spanish important to you?
I think it will open opportunities for travel and work, and many colleagues speak Spanish in company. Also, I like the culture and music from Spanish-speaking countries, so it makes sense to learn it.
Okay, thank you. Now let's move to part 2. I will give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 2 to 3 minutes. You have 1 minute to prepare. Here is your topic card. Describe a memorable trip you took. Please say where you went, who you went with, what you did there, and explain why this trip was memorable for you. You have 1 minute to think.
Thank you. Right, a memorable trip I took was to the Lake District last autumn with 2 friends from work. We planned the trip for a long time because it was easy to escape from the city and we wanted walking and photography. The journey took about 3 hours by train and bus, and when we arrived, the weather was clear and the hills looked amazing. We stayed in a small guest house near a village and spent our days walking different trails, climbing to viewpoints and taking many photos of the lakes and stone walls. One morning we woke early to see the sunrise over the valley, and it was quiet and very beautiful, with mist on the water and birds singing. In the evenings we had simple meals at local pubs, tried the local ale, and shared stories. On the second day I tried a steeper path that was challenging, but when I reached the top I felt proud, because it was my first real hill walk after a long time without exercise. Also, one friend, she forgot her jacket, and a kind local returned it to the guest house, which made us feel welcomed and safe. The trip was memorable because it gave me time away from screens and work pressure. It reconnected me with nature and friends, and I captured some photos that still make me smile. It also reminded me of the importance of slowing down and appreciating small things like quiet mornings and good company. I think I learned that traveling with friends who have similar pace is important, and I now try to plan more trips like that when I can.
How long did you spend preparing for that trip?
We spent maybe 2 weeks arranging accommodation and trains, but planning was quite light. We wanted flexibility, so we booked guest house and decide routes each morning. I check maps and weather forecasts the night before each walk.
Right. You mentioned you took photos. Do you often photograph when you travel?
Yes, I like to take photos. Not professional, but I enjoy composing shots and editing later. It is a way to remember details, and sometimes I share on social media, but mostly it is for personal memories.
Okay. Thank you. Now part 3. We will discuss travel and leisure in more depth. First question. Why do people like to travel to natural places rather than big cities?
I think many people choose nature because it offers calm and escape from busy life. Natural places give chance to breathe, to see different scenery, and to do outdoor activities like hiking or swimming. In cities, there's always noise and rush, while nature often helps to reduce stress. Also, natural tourism is seen as healthier and sometimes cheaper than city breaks.
How has tourism changed in your country in recent years?
Tourism changed a lot because of budget airlines and online platforms. More people travel independently and book cheap flights, and social media makes unusual places popular quickly. There is also more emphasis on sustainable tourism now. People worry about over-tourism and environmental impact, and some local areas try to manage visitor numbers.
Do you think travel is important for young people? Why or why not?
Yes, I believe travel is important for young people because it broadens perspective, teaches independence, and helps understanding of other cultures. When young people travel, they often face new problems and learn to solve them, which build confidence. However, travel can be expensive and not everyone has same opportunity, so education systems could support exchange programs more.
Some people say tourism damages local culture. Do you agree?
Partly, yes. When many tourists visit, local traditions can be commercialized for visitors, and authenticity is lost. Also, local communities may adapt to tourist demands rather than preserve customs. But tourism can bring money for preservation and provide jobs. It depends on how tourism is managed and whether locals have control over what is presented.
What can governments do to reduce negative effects of tourism?
Governments can set visitor limits in sensitive areas, invest in infrastructure to reduce damage, and support local businesses so money stays in community. They should educate tourists about respectful behavior and require companies to follow environmental regulations. Also, promoting off-season travel can reduce pressure on hotspots.
Do you think the way people spend their leisure time has changed much over the last 20 years?
Yes, leisure changed, especially because of technology. People now spend more time online, on streaming and social media, which replaced some traditional activities like reading or going out. On the other hand, there is greater interest in wellness and active hobbies, like yoga or hiking, so it's mixed. The variety increased, but attention spans may be shorter.
How do workplaces affect people's leisure time?
Workplaces influence leisure through working hours and culture. If a company expects long hours, people have less free time. Flexible work can allow more leisure, but also blur boundaries because people may check email at home. Some employers now encourage breaks and well-being, offering classes or discounts to help employees enjoy leisure.
Do you think people will travel less or more in future?
I think travel will continue, but may change. With environmental concerns, some will travel less or choose closer destinations. But technology and incomes could make travel easier for others, so overall, maybe similar numbers but different patterns, like more sustainable options and longer stays rather than quick trips.
If someone cannot afford to travel, what alternatives are there to broaden their horizons?
Alternatives include virtual experiences, cultural events in cities, local volunteering with diverse communities, and exchange programs at low cost. Public libraries and online courses also give exposure to other cultures. Meeting people from different backgrounds locally can be very beneficial too.
Finally, in your opinion, what is the value of spending time in nature rather than using leisure indoor activities?
Spending time in nature brings physical and mental benefits, like fresh air, exercise, and stress reduction. Indoor activities can be comfortable and social, but nature often provides a different quality of calm and perspective. For me, a balance is best. Enjoy indoor hobbies, but also make time for outdoors regularly.
Thank you. That is the end of the speaking test.
The candidate demonstrated band 6 level performance. Notable grammatical errors included saying I have been lived there for 5 years when it should be I have lived there for 5 years, and saying I am very interested about music when it should be I am very interested in music. Another instance was the use of the education is very important instead of education is very important. These errors appeared occasionally throughout the interview, and sometimes the candidate self-corrected. For example, when clarifying a point or reformulating an idea. Error frequency and impact. Grammatical and preposition errors occurred regularly, but they did not prevent understanding. The listener could follow the message easily, though the mistakes were noticeable. Fluency assessment. The candidate was generally fluent with natural flow, used discourse markers and pauses to think, and had occasional hesitations and self-corrections like, sorry, what I mean is, which is appropriate for this band. Vocabulary evaluation. The candidate showed a reasonable range of vocabulary, using words like flexible, over-tourism, and sustainable, but there were imprecise choices such as saying funny, or using for instead of in at times. Some collocations were slightly off, but meaning remained clear. Grammatical analysis. Strengths included use of complex sentences and appropriate tense in many places, and ability to expand answers with examples. Weaknesses were inconsistent article use, occasional tense mixing, and incorrect prepositions, which led to a Band 6 characteristic. Band score justification. This performance matches Band 6 because communication was clear and coherent. The candidate expanded answers well and showed ability to discuss ideas, but systematic grammatical inaccuracies and occasional vocabulary inaccuracy prevented a higher band. What prevented a higher score? Persistent errors with articles and prepositions, occasional awkward phrasing, and a few basic grammar mistakes reduced overall accuracy. To reach the next band, the candidate should reduce the frequency of basic errors, improve preposition and article usage, and increase precision in word choice while maintaining fluency. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.